All right. What is up, gang? It's me, is What is up, gang? It is me, BF Alex, and you already know what the vibe, what the dealio is. Today we're just gonna be actually I'm switching it up. I'm not doing reaction videos. I'm actually gonna be reading stories to you. Can this guy even read? We're about to find out. We're doing Crazy X stories today. So let's get right into it, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Bada bang, bada boom. My crazy ex-boyfriend told me one day while we were still dating that I love my 10-week-old kitten more than him. He asked me that night if he could take him home with him and keep him awake during the drive. I said no, but he took him anyways. The next morning he called to tell me that he woke up late, jumped out of bed, and accidentally crushed him with both of his feet. In his exact words, he was all kinds of crazy. And this may even be the least terrible thing he did in our short time together. I really hate this guy. Least terrible thing he did? He killed your 10-week-old cat. That is insane. Edit, for those who are asking in response, I won't go into much detail at all because it is still really hard for me. But let's just say he was also a sexual predator, and I don't believe I was the only victim during the time of our relationship. I believe the other was a child. I had no solid proof. I did finally get the courage to report him. Unfortunately, it was too long after it had occurred, and nothing was done in my case. Wow. You're dealing with a cat murderer and a sexual predator. Those of you who are taking criticism or criticizing me for not seeing the red flags, all I can say to you is this. You're welcome to go back and take a walk 18-year-old shoes and see how you deal with a charming sociopath. She was naive, okay? She was naive. I don't know, man. He just jumped out of bed and crushed a cat. He must have really been jumping out of bed. Bro, yes. I was really jumping out of bed. That's insane. If he killed the cat first, I would have broke up with him, and then he did those terrible things. You should have broke up with him after he killed the cat. Next story, guys. That is... wow. My high school girlfriend told me she had cancer after our first date. She asked me not to tell anyone, and that her parents got really upset if it was mentioned, so not to talk about it with anyone. She turned herself anorexic to appear sickly. Once I started making friends, no one understood why I was with her, and I kept her secret. Well, I finally put two and two together. After she told me she's going in for chemo Monday, she said she wasn't going to be at school, at least for a week. I caught her trying to hide from me before the first class and asked her how her chemo went. She said it went well and that all her hair fell out, but she sewed it all together and sewed the wig into her head. Yeah, she was a special one. Alright, so you kind of didn't put two and two together at first when she said don't mention it around my parents. I'm not a parent and I don't have a kid with cancer. But I would think that you're very supportive, and at least you would let the boyfriend know if, that's a pretty, how would you say, something you can't, hide from your partner, or should hide from your partner? Something that's made pretty obvious in the relationship. I don't know. I just think you were trying to clap. Let's be real with you. You were just trying to get some cutty dude, and you decided to ignore the fact that you're going to lie to. But hey, it's okay. We all make stupid decisions for girls, right? Fuck it. I broke up with this girl on Monday, but me being me, I tried to stay friends with her. When I broke up with her, she kept saying I needed to give her 6 more weeks for closure, and that I was her last chance at dating. She's 28. On Friday, she shows up and says, a Lobo? And I'm going to, I don't even know what the fuck that is. And I'm going to let you go. But I want you to know I am pregnant. The next day she calls me saying she's going to the ER Later that day, I get a phone call. She says that it's a tubular pregnancy and she needs to take the abortion pill. No, usually this requires surgery. She asked me if I would come over that night because she needs more moral support. I felt obliged to go. When I was there, I told her I was going to leave. When she went to bed, she started crying and said she was afraid she might hurt herself, so I need to stay there. That freaked me out a bit, so I did. Then she took my hand, put it on her belly, and said goodbye. The next day, I woke up and got the hell out. Figured it was all over. That Monday, I get a phone call. She says I'm still pregnant. Apparently, according to her, she had twins, and one had survived. I told her I wanted to go with her to her next doctor's appointment. She said fine. It was Wednesday. Boy, what? This is all cap. You got to stop entertaining her. You're entertaining this. So next day, okay. On Tuesday, she messaged me, tells me that she had an opening, so she went early. Asked if I wanted a picture. I said sure. She sent me one, and I looked at it. No information on it. So I asked her, and she said they emailed it to her. Made sense. They removed all identifiable information. 2 days later, a friend took that picture and found it online under somebody else's name. You could even see where parts of the image had elements removed. I confronted her about it. I couldn't believe I wouldn't believe her, and my child would never know who I am. The next day, she sent me an email saying a lawyer would be in touch. The next day, she sent me an email saying she was going to have an abortion, but I needed to pick her up and pay for it. 5 minutes later, she sent me an email saying that if I didn't respond, she would just keep the child. I responded back saying I had found the image, showed her the link. 2 weeks went by. I get nothing. A call gets sent from her home phone number. The girl that sounds very much like her says that she is her cousin and she's going to be her lawyer. And I need to call back. Only problem that the callback number was the home phone number, so obviously this was fake as well. I honestly think, bro. Okay, so crazy to lie about the doctor's appointments. Crazy to go online and think that was gonna work. This whole thing, all in all, crazy. Again, this guy seems like he's entertaining it, though. Seems like he just keeps going back. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I would, for real, once I first heard, I had twins, I'd be like, girl, block, peace out. I am not listening to that nonsense. I'm a skeptic. I dated, hands down, the most batshit crazy girl I have ever met in my life. 21, I was dating and living with a 20-year-old, okay, who had two parents who were involved in healthcare. It was her ultimate goal to be an OBGYN. Oh, yeah. She studied vagina, birth, and women's health even before she was done with her bachelor's. She had been diagnosed with irregular periods ages before we started dating. She was also on birth control. That didn't stop her from taking a home pregnancy test every time her period was off 1 or 2 days. I told her once, not so jokingly, that if we had Native American names, hers would be Pea on Stick. She was oh yeah, you're back, by the way. Again, she was obsessed with the idea that her BC wasn't working, and I had knocked her up. Birth control. Oh, okay. She was obsessed with taking at-home pregnancy tests at least once every month or 2 months. Dude gave a warning, so I guess I'm gonna give a warning to y'all. Then 1 month, she had a really horrible period where she passed a bunch of lining. It bled ton. Any girl who had really bad periods knows that when they pass a bunch of uterine lining, their period is pretty nasty. She insisted she just had a miscarriage or an unborn child. Refused to take a pregnancy test to confirm. Refused to acknowledge the fact that she had a period last month, and if she had a miscarriage, the zygote would be tiny. She would never notice. Mind you, her parents were born RNs, and she reads and watches everything about pregnancy and childbirth she could get her hands on. Refused to go to the doctor to get a blood test. Most times when you miscarriage, there is enough HGC in the blood or urine that the pregnancy test ends up positive still. Basically, a girl who was obsessed with taking home tests don't want to take it no more because she's just believing that she had a miscarriage, I guess. Nope. She insists she had a miscarriage, so she started mourning. Told her parents she had a miscarriage. Told all her mutual friends she had a miscarriage. Oh my god! And then it made me feel bad that because I didn't grieve. She even named her period lining a male name because she knew it would have been a boy, and bought a special miscarriage remembrance necklace for some vendor online so she could always wear it and never get her poor miscarried uterus lining. Yeah, dude, this is just weird. What? Careful with women like this, man, if it is true. Why are we only getting the crazy girls? Can we get a crazy guy in here? But no, this is insane. To just assume you had a miscarriage without any test done. That's a big deal. I know people who get tattooed, of their unborn children. Like, this is a big deal. This isn't something you can just be like, oh, well, I think I had one. May she heal mentally. And, brother, you dodged a bullet. Let's read one more. Let's find one about a guy, because I feel like I dated this guy in junior high of high school, and he was really obsessive. Never wanted me to hang out with any of my friends. Okay, that's always great. Always wanted to go through my phone, and got mad when the screensaver on my phone wasn't a picture of us. That is high school shit. That is definitely a high school guy. That's just little things you got to deal with in high school. Like, once you're grown, you don't care. Once you live with the person, you don't care. One time, we had an argument at his house, and I just was not interested in him anymore at this point, and wasn't sticking around for the argument, and was leaving when he ran out of his house to my car, jumped on the passenger seat, and started crying, and refused to get out of my car until we had talked about things. We broke up soon after, and he started telling people that I was an atheist, a whore, and even made a Twitter so he could stalk me and also harass me. I had been in a serious accident where a motorcyclist was involved, and the man that was driving the motorcycle didn't survive. And he went as far as to make hateful comments about that as well, which is a fucking low blow. This is why I make sure I'm friends with someone for a while now before I start dating them. Gotta make sure they aren't fucking crazy. You were dating a hater, my friend. I kind of want to know where this guy's at now. Like, there was this guy. He was my first serious boyfriend, and he was really pushy. I really loved him, but my best friend warned me it would end badly. But I dismissed it as he had previously confessed that he was interested in me. Red flag, I guess. I don't know. I don't believe in the friends. It went well for 2 weeks. He just started getting creepy. Note that at this stage was and still is a fine case of him being a pedophile. What? He was asking if he was willing to have sex and have children, and he wanted to get married to him. I was 15. How old was this guy? I gotta know. Because if he was just another 15-year-old saying this shit, then if another 15-year-old asking you to, like, have sex, I guess it's pedophilia, but he's not a pedophile. He's just another 15-year-old trying to fuck. I don't know. Whatever. That is kind of creepy if you're only 2 weeks in. Things got worse from there. He started hitting me. Leave. I got bruises all over my body, and then he started blaming it on me, saying it was my fault. If you weren't so fucking ugly, and if I saw more in you, the more I saw him, the more he hit me. And I ended it with him. Good. And then he threatened to kill me, and it got to the point to which I tried to kill myself, so he couldn't. It turns out my best friend was right. He is essentially a man whore who doesn't love anybody, and he still hits me when he sees me. Alright, a couple things from here. Alright. Couple things about that sad story. I don't know what your friend didn't tell you about in that warning, but if your friend basically broke down that, you should have listened to your friend. But that's not your fault. You took an interest in this guy. It's kind of insane. Like, he was clearly abusive, and he was clearly abusive, and personally, after the abuse, and if he was calling me fucking ugly, and if I saw more in you, I probably would have been dipping. especially as a teenager. But I understand we're naive at young ages and stuff like that. Um, Killing yourself is never the option, especially like this. Tell your older brother or your parents, someone. You guys are 15. Or unless I'm missing something, unless this guy was really older. But I'm sorry that happened to you. That's insane. People are insane. That people be crazy, guys and girls. Thank you guys for listening to those awesome stories. That was my first Reddit form. Yeah, not really too much. I guess I'll sing you out like I always do. But this will be a freestyle. Don't look at my toes. I don't have socks on. Me and all of my Nikes, they're rocking them on. Please don't look at my toes.